It is estimated that there are approximately 500 cults in operation in the UK. But are all of these groups the same? White Noise investigates some of these groups, which all claim to offer meaning to people's lives. They have their own doctrines and beliefs, some of which may seem strange to an outsider. We wanted to find out how these groups attract young people and what life is like inside one of these groups. Are they dangerous, or can they offer a meaningful alternative to our secular modern lifestyles? Scientology are perhaps one of the most well-known new religious movements, and they were recently recognised as an official religion in the UK. One thing I did have access to was Scientology's online personality test. With 200 questions, it's pretty probing. I wondered what sort of picture they were building of me from my answers. I'd have to wait and see. Children of God are a fundamentalist Christian group who have faced widespread criticism about some of their philosophies. We spoke to Natasha, who grew up in the cult.
My parents joined the Children of God when they were about 17, nearly 18 years old. So myself and all my siblings were born into it. It was quite an oppressive childhood, very controlled by cult doctrines. Every day was very strictly scheduled. The majority of the day would be, hours of memorizing the doctrines of the cult leader, David Berg. Personally, I always felt completely isolated and very alone, especially as a child, because, you had so many people around you who were, apparently so loving and, who took care of you and were supposed to be one big family. But at the same time, even as a very young child, I knew I couldn't trust anyone. Basically, he believed that anything that was done in the spirit of love was good. So when David Berg brought out a letter about child sex and said, children should explore their sexuality, there's nothing to be ashamed of, I obviously got affected by it in some way because of the highly sexualized atmosphere that was throughout the cult. I was subsequently abused as a child at the age of 4. As I grew older into about 16 years of age, that's when I really realized something was quite wrong. When did I realize it was a cult? Probably after I left. I think, it's hard to accept that you were part of a cult, and it's hard to kind of see it for what it is. It's something that has to happen quite gradually. It's been 12 years, and I'm probably just getting to the point where I feel entirely comfortable with the world around me and quite confident about who I am as a person.
Natasha's story was harrowing and showed the horrors of life inside an extreme group. But what about the other side of the scale? I wanted to see what life was like inside a new religious church today. The Unification Church, often known as the Moonies, were open and friendly and let me attend a church service just for young people. Sam was a really down-to-earth guy. The church for him provided a community, family and purpose in his life, which he clearly valued.
Well, I was born in the Unification movement, and I grew up in the Unification movement. I'm still here because I really value what I've been taught so far, what I know and how I've been raised. I'm still in that process, I think it's not like, oh yeah, I believe everything now, I think I'm discovering it as I go along. The main teachings of our movement are all about how to create good families, ideal families, centered on a good relationship between a husband and wife and their kids. And in a way, we believe that family being somehow the cornerstone of society, from there everything sort of branches out from. We can create a good society if we have a lot of good families, right? That's one of the main goals of our movement. It is a movement for unification.
So the Unification Church really challenged my preconceptions about these groups. They offered an open community where their members could think and act freely. I'm here just outside the Church of Scientology. It's just round that corner there. I'm here to get the results of my free personality test, which I took online. So they offer a 30-minute free consultation to identify the problems in my life, what might be keeping me back from what I want to achieve. And I'm curious, I'm really anxious, quite excited, and I'm genuinely interested to see if they can offer me a higher level of spiritual existence. What can Scientology offer me? My trip down to Scientology was really interesting. Before I got my actual personality test result, I was taken on a tour of the building. So I was shown the reading rooms, the auditing rooms, the libraries and the purification centre. The results themselves I didn't think were accurate or represented me at all as a person. It seemed like they were preying on natural human insecurities. I mean, everyone's got something in their life that they'd like to improve. And it seemed that Scientology was offering a solution to everything. We also met with Ian Howarth from the Cult Information Centre, a charity giving advice and information for the victims of cults.
In the UK, there are between 500 and 1,000 different cults in operation, but the figure is probably much closer to 1,000. There are 26 techniques of psychological coercion that we've identified. These techniques are sometimes called mind control techniques or radicalization techniques. It's a group with a leader who is self-appointed, someone who's dogmatic, someone who will often be described as messianic as well. They often claim to be God. In my experience, the average person can be broken down by a typical cult in 3 or 4 days.
Some cults aren't even religious. I came across Free Domain Radio, a secular website with discussion forums and podcasts. They have the effect of alienating the listener from society. They push a message about cutting yourself off from your family, which can have terrible results.
My name's Barbara Weed. My youngest son, Tom, left home in 2008. He left because he's involved with an organisation that I see as a cult. Free Domain Radio is run by a man called Stefan Molyneux. His website has discussion forums. He also makes podcasts, so it's like an internet radio station. I could hear from his room he was listening, this man's voice was playing all of the time. What I didn't realise was that he'd started listening to all of the podcasts, and by the time he finally left home, he'd listened to 1,000. Following all of the things that he suggests to achieve personal freedom. So they dump their families, and my son just got caught up. He's very bright. He's God, I miss him. When Tom left a note to say that he was leaving, he had already made up his mind then that he wasn't coming back and nothing would change him. So I'm not blowing my chances of a reconciliation with him, because there won't be a reconciliation. I'm never going to see him again.
The thing that scared me about that was how new forms of technology were being used to recruit young people. This was a whole new definition of a cult, one that could suck you in through your computer. All of these groups exist on a spectrum. On the one end, you have the harmless groups, who may have some bizarre beliefs, but ultimately pose no real threat. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the more extreme groups, who really are dangerous and control their members' lives. In the 21st century, many young people may be looking for a more meaningful existence, but it is precisely this curiosity that has the potential to lead to danger. Be curious, but skeptical.